You may not answer questions like these, but I'm struggling with removing people from my life. Is this acceptable if you're a follower of Jesus? All right, look, that's a great question. Can you remove people from your life if you're a follower of Jesus? Absolutely, 110%. In fact, that makes you a wise person to actually view the people who are around in your circle, who you're going to allow in and not allow in. And what it is that, look, there's certain people, which everyone knows this. There's certain people you get around, and it's amazing. It's not that they're bad people, but when you get around them, you start doing things that you normally would not do. And so every time you get around them, you're like, you know what? I do things I don't really want to do. And then at the end of the day, when I leave them, I actually feel more negative than when I even showed up. I need to pray about that relationship. And then all of a sudden you have another person you go out with. And even though you might be struggling and going through stuff, every time you go out with them, you're like, you know what? Every time I'm around that person, I feel better than I did before. So you start viewing people and you ask God to give you wisdom, who should be in my life, who should not be in my life. And this would make you a wise person. And we need the Holy Spirit to give us wisdom and knowledge to show us all of this. And by the way, it's not like many of you would think. A lot of people, you so work at the surface level. You're like, oh, that's a bad person because they do all this behavior. Oh, that's a good person because they do all this. So this is a real story. One night, my wife and I go out and we're sitting at a table with a bunch of other people. And all of a sudden, this man comes and sits next to me. I've never met him a day in my life, by the way. But all of a sudden, when he sits next to me, just the Spirit of God in me, I'm like, this is one nasty dude. I don't like this guy. In fact, when I'm sitting by him, it's like nasty, like perverted, like something with children. I mean, I'm serious. Like, this is just what I felt. I met this person. He didn't even say a word. He just sat down. All of a sudden, when we leave, by the way, I didn't sit by him. I got up and I moved away. When we go outside and we're driving home, my wife asked me about it. I said, look, I don't know, but there's something not right about that person. She goes, that's the pastor of the church. I'm like, I don't care who he is. There's something nasty about that guy. And see, I'm going to trust my gut feeling more than my intellect. I'm not going to look because he's a pastor of the church. Everybody loves him. My gut feeling saying, So you know what? I rather believe my gut feeling and be wrong than to deny it, right? And so what ends up happening 2 years from there, on the news, this pastor of this church is being handcuffed, drawn out of his house for child porn. So look, all I'm simply is saying this. We need to be led by the Holy Spirit, who should be in or out, and you need to trust the Holy Spirit in your gut, who those people are. This is not a surface level thing. This makes you a wise person who should be in your inner circle.